going to show you one of our plants here, and this is an invasive. It's not native to the area, but it's still a medicinal and excellent one at that. This is motherwort. Motherwort is a member of the mint family, which means it has a square stem. Its leaves come off in pairs like this, and usually it'll have the flower will come up in the axis of the leaves, the upper axis of the leaves. Most mints, that's the way they do it. The motherwort has a very deeply and sharply lobed leaf. You can see how sharp the lobes are on that, and they're very deep, or how sharp the spikes are on it and how deep the lobes are. And motherwort is, when it goes to flower, it'll have little, like a little round of white flowers that go around the stem that will later kind of turn into a prickly kind of seed pod that it's not as bad as burrs, but it can catch on your clothes or catch on your dog's coat, and you can carry it around, and that's one of the ways that it spreads its seeds. And motherwort, as the name says, it was used to help keep mothers relaxed during delivery. It helps relax your body, and that's its main use. It does help through like menopausal symptoms. If you get hot flashes, if you get the anxiety that sometimes can happen during menopause, taking motherwort will help calm you down. Helps get that racing heart that you can sometimes get, helps calm that down. And it does the same thing for men. It's not just for women. If you have sleepless nights, it's a nice, gentle, relaxing tea. It's certainly nothing like chamomile or even better valerian or marijuana. Those are much better relaxers. But it does help just kind of take the edge off and helps you relax a little bit. So that's what motherwort is known for. Nice, easy to use herb. You make it into a tea. The whole aerial part can be made into a tea until those seed pods happen, and then it still can be, but it's not going to be as strong. But this is motherwort, and it's an excellent relaxing herb. We are here with cleavers, and cleavers are often called bed straw. There's many different kind of bed straws, and cleavers are one of them. And cleavers it has a squarish stem, and the leaves kind of whirl around the stem itself. You can kind of see how the leaves just kind of whirl around. And it has a very tiny little white flower. But what cleavers are known for, and I'm going to just break off a little piece here and stick it to myself, I'll be right back, is you can stick it, it has little barbs, almost like Velcro barbs, that stick to you. It's not super like burry, but they can stick to you or cleave to you, which is how they got their name, cleavers. Cleavers are one of the first, there it is on my shirt, are one of the first greens of spring. In fact, there'll still be snow on the ground, and we'll have little tiny cleavers coming up. And cleavers were known as a spring tonic. It helped flush your system. See, for people who lived with nature, lived with the seasons, this meant during those season of winter, you're not growing vegetables, obviously. There's not this lush of green around. So cleavers, so your body, you ate heavy food such as meat. Meat stores very good in the winter. In fact, it stores better than vegetables in the wintertime. And so you're spent all winter eating heavy meats and heavy root crops because that's what would store in the root cellar. And then, even squash, which could store, that was heavy. And it was just your body, or you ate dehydrated foods. Your body just had this buildup of all this heavy food. And when you live that way, you truly do find that in the springtime, your early spring, late winter even, your body starts craving greens. Nowadays we can raise lettuce inside the house if you got a south-facing window or under grow lights, or you can grow sprouts, things like that. But and even in the root cellar you can force dandelions and things like that to sprout, the roots to sprout. But for the most part, if you eat seasonally, you're going to be eating heavier foods, and your body starts craving those greens in the spring. But just switching from that heavy winter diet to a green spring diet will really upset your digestive tract. And so Cleavers was the kind of, you took it and it cleaned out your system. Made you urinate, cleaned out your system, prepared you for switching to the more plant-based summer diet. And that's what it's known for, is the spring tonic. It was one of the Granny Women's and the Medicine Men's spring tonics. The other thing that it was, what I use it for a lot is I make a tincture out of it. I've already got my tinctures made, but it's very simple. You just stuff as much of this into a jar as you can, a jar that has a lid, clean jar that has a lid. Pour at least 80 proof liquor of some sort. Most people recommend vodka. Or Shine or whatever, clear liquid, as opposed to having the tannins in it from oak barrels and things like that, is always better. But any 80 proof or above liquor will work. And you pour that over it and let it set. This gives up its medicinal qualities quite easy. It gives it up better to water than to alcohol, so using it as a tea fresh is the best way to do it. But if you're going to store it, of course, it's best to store it in a tincture. And then in about a month, strain off the plant material, and the tincture that's left, the alcohol that's left, is your tincture. And you can make a Cleaver tincture, and it's very good for things like urinary tract infections. If you have crystals in your urine, if just any kind of urinary problem, this will help with it. Now, you can't just take it as just take it, you know. You do need to take it with a lot of water, because it will make you urinate a lot. And if you're urinating a lot, then and if you don't have enough water, if you're not drinking enough water, it'll start taking water out of your tissue to make you urinate. And of course that's what dehydration is. So make sure that you drink a lot of water with it. And my favorite combination is this and bearberry or knick-knick. However you want to call it. People will often call it by its I've heard it called by its Latin name, and I can't for the life of me pull that out right now. We always called it bearberry, but I'll look it up and put it in description. But you mix this with bearberry, and that is great for urinary tract infections, including some of the more powerful or stronger urinary tract infections. If you have a very strong urinary tract infection, Cleavers, bearberry, and either golden seal or barberry root that's probably almost better than most medicines you can get, plus drinking plenty of water. But anyway, anything to do with the urinary tract, any kind of problems that you may have with that, this works really well. And it also helps clean out your system. So, and it's a gentle cleanse. It's not like you drink it and all of a sudden everything comes out. But the one drawback with it is you do need to drink a lot of water. But anyway, these are Cleavers. One of our beautiful wild flowers here, one of our early spring flowers, and one of our medicinals here, and this is wild geranium. It's a pretty purple flower. It's often called, we called it crane's bill when I was younger, but it's Wisconsin name, what most people call it, is wild geranium. And wild geranium is an astringent, much the same way witch hazel is. While you can use wild geranium for many different things, including diarrhea. If you have like a poison ivy rash, you can use it as a wash to get rid of the poison ivy rash. It's great for bug bites. Dysentery, if you have dysentery, this will help tighten up the tract, your digestive tract will help tighten up the lining of your digestive tract so that you're not in a lot of pain from the diarrhea. You use it in two different forms. It does give itself up readily to water, so you can make it into a tea. Then I recommend using the upper part, and you can make it into a tincture. So it does give up to alcohol too. The aerial part is you use this time of the year. It is somewhat strong. If that's the only thing you're looking for, blackberry leaves are actually better, which I'll show you those as we get to them. But in the roots in the fall. If you dig up, if you find this flower and you know what it looks like, come back to this area, dig up the root in the fall, and because the flower won't be there in the fall, so you got to really kind of mark it, even tying a little string around the plant base so that you know where it is, and then kind of mark the area with a flag or something. You dig up the root, and the root can be turned into a tincture and is very good for dysentery. Eating too much bad food for you, anything on the order that can upset your digestive tract, that is excellent, an excellent cure for dysentery and diarrhea. But that is wild geranium or cranesbill. This is wild columbine. Let's see if I can find a better. Here's the leaf of the wild columbine, kind of a pretty little, almost sometimes it looks like a hand, like that one, but it's hard to describe it because it can have multiple lobes, like this one here. It's got a really deep lobe, or it can be a lot smoother like those ones. But the part that really stands out about the wild columbine is, of course, the flower. And there the flower is. And the only reason I'm showing you this, it's not really a medicinal, is my family has been eating the flowers forever. In fact, when I was a child, we used to, in fact, I don't ever remember a time. I have 4 brothers and sisters, so there's 5 of us all together, and we would race to see who could get the flowers. We'd eat them all, and they're very delicious. And my sister only bites off the end. Let's see if I can show you that. The little ends of the flowers here have a sweet nectar in them, and it's just like eating candy. They're very sweet. There's the flower from the inside. Very perfect for bees to pollinate, and hummingbirds. The hummingbirds love them. And the reason I'm mentioning this plant is because I have been eating this since I was a little kid. But if you pick up Peterson's field guide to wild edible plants or his wild medicinal plants, they will tell you that this is potentially toxic. This is one of the things about learning from books that is a problem. Books have to cover their butt because we come from a sue-happy nation. We love to sue each other. So they can put it in there, and then they have to tell you, oh, it's potentially toxic. And a lot of people will be like, oh my gosh, it's toxic. I don't ever want to tell you to not listen to them when they say they're toxic, because there are things out here that can kill you. Very few, but of course, all it takes is one. But then the other thing is that books have to, the publisher does not want to get sued, so they tell the author, I don't care, write potentially toxic on it. And this beautiful little flower, quite easily eaten. I throw them in salads, and like I said, I'm going to, when I turn the camera off, I'm going to pick a couple of them and toss them into my mouth. But that is wild columbine.